the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, across the U.S., and abroad. Joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside.
Patrick Maynard.
Okay, man, we got a lot to talk about. But from now until November 5th, we got to remind these people, man. We got to remind them, get out and vote. All right? But you were saying?
Well, I don't think we're going to have a hard time motivating people to vote this year.
This time.
I really don't.
With what's going on.
It's horrible what's going on here with this government. They've let their freak flag fly. Some of the things that Adolf Hitler wanted to do in his first term, he was held in check by traditional Republicans, country club Republicans, the guys who had government experience, who knew where the rules were and the guardrails were. And they would hold him back from his worst impulses. So this time he went out and got a bunch of morons, people with the moral proclivities of a sewer rat, and in the same IQ, and they're willing to do anything that he wants to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can see these guys at press conferences justifying decisions they make. Everything from Bobby Kennedy and his ridiculous vaccine schedules and the new schedule for the food groupings to the morons who run ICE. You can see these decisions as they come down. They are almost saluting and saying, Heil Hitler or Heil Trump.
Yeah.
They're doing it at his behest every time.
Yes.
You know, and they still haven't gotten it right why he went over. And I don't care. The man was, ridiculous to a lot of his people, but you gonna go to another country and get a man and his wife and bring them back to your country and put them in jail and everything?
Yeah, it was a half a coup.
There's
First thing he said, it was because he was dealing drugs,
Yeah.
right? Fentanyl. Fentanyl. Well,
which doesn't come from
doesn't come from there. And if you look at the cocaine that comes into the United States, it comes up the Pacific route through Mexico or the Pacific Ocean. So Venezuela has a minuscule amount of,
if any.
And he's blowing up fishermen, and he's killing innocent people. And Pete had said that, between shots of Old Crow and Wild Turkey, he's pounding his chest saying, look how manly I am.
It's a
blowing up
great
people in
job.
boats.
It is a perfect
But,
job.
the thing is, man, you have messed up so much that you have allies looking at ways that they can protect themselves from you. You got your enemies coalescing around each other because the enemy of their enemy is their friend, and we're that enemy.
Yeah.
So you got the BRIC nations now starting to do transactions outside of the system that we typically use. It's called it starts with an S. The name's escaping me right now. SWIFT. They're not using the SWIFT system to send money. They just started doing this a couple weeks ago. So you're seeing the initial phases of the avoidance or I guess the best way to put it is just it's extraneous U.S. dollar. They don't need it anymore.
Right.
It's been the U.S. currency of reserve. Trump single-handedly has
He's
put that effort because these companies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, a couple more African nations, Eastern African nations have all said we don't want to rely on this Western model revolving around the dominance of the United States on the world economy. We've got the assets.
Right.
Yes.
We're the ones who have the rare earth minerals. We've got the precious metals. We've got the oil. We've got the rubber. We've got the timber.
Just about everything
Why
you
are we
need.
kowtowing to these fools who always start wars and why don't we protect each other? And that was a model that was talked about openly, and now they're starting to implement it. And so all this is being done because of what Trump is doing to motivate these people to act that way.
Yeah.
And Trump is after this. Only thing he needs is the minerals, the wealth of the countries. So going down Venezuela had nothing to do with drugs.
Of course not.
No.
In fact, he actually said, that's not the real reason. Remember last week I mentioned that?
Yeah.
It wasn't that the real reason. The real reason is the oil and the minerals.
Yeah. That's what it is, man.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
But talking about that, let me bring it up now. Did you hear Trump saying that he is going to be selling the Venezuela oil
Yeah.
at the market value?
Mm-hmm.
But here the kicker to it. The money from that, he is responsible for it. He will be controlling
Yeah,
that
yeah.
to make sure that the American people and the Venezuelans get their fair share, typically. But wait, Ahmad, do you ever see anybody putting a cat to mine butter, to keep the butter?
Well, it's the same, man, as in the fox to watch the hen house, man. It's like it's really pitiful, man, because the people were already, in bad shape and everything. But you watch, man. In if Trump get this thing the way he wants, man, in 6 months, man, that country will be gone flat. I mean, flat out.
But Russia, China, Iran, they are sending ships.
Right. Yeah, this is looking like a conflict brewing. And you notice when Trump first started talking about this publicly, because he always shoots his mouth off. He's so insecure. He's such a narcissist that he can't help but to beat his chest and brag about things that should be best kept secret.
Exactly.
He's like the cat burglar who can't wait to tell the diner with the nice legs about the penthouse he's gonna be robbing next week. That's Trump. But he goes to all these oil executives months ago, and tells them, don't even worry about Venezuela. I got that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the oil.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the oil. So he goes to them, but he doesn't go to Congress.
Right.
He doesn't make his case to the congressional body to say this is what we need to do as a nation. So Trump is saying essentially, I am an autocrat. I will do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and you can either fish or cut bait with it because I'm not consulting you and it has nothing to do with you. And as far as that money coming back in, well, you can see ExxonMobil, we can see BP, we can see Shell, we can see all these companies' stock is blown through the roof.
Going up.
Yeah. So they know what the plan is,
But
and it's all been well formed. Now Trump couldn't think his way out of a first grade Dick and Jane book.
Right.
Remember those books, See Spot Run?
Yeah.
He'd be struggling with the first page of that, but. He's got people around him who can explain things to him using coloring books and small graphs. This is what we're talking about. And as long as they say it in a way that he can see where it's going to put some money in his pocket, he's with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is all about, man. This is the European model settler colonialism, where you go in and you take what belongs to others. They even had the nerve not only to say that's our oil, they're trying to sue Venezuela for back wages that they lost because they said we stole it the first time and you kicked us out. We want our stolen goods back, and you got to pay us back for all the money we lost out of having.
But Trump is saying, we the people, will have to front the money for the oil companies. Could you imagine that? They're gonna come in to make all these millions, billions of dollars, but the poor people like us got to front the money for them.
Yeah, to rebuild the infrastructure.
Yeah,
because it's been running on duct tape and mismatched screws and washers for decades now because of oil embargoes to Venezuela. So they didn't have the money to invest in the infrastructure. It's fallen into disrepair.
Right.
It's not very effective. It's not very efficient, but it's still pumping oil. And we need to let the audience know it is the single biggest oil reserve in the world.
Yes.
So, Exxon, all these companies have been licking their chops and been angry ever since they got kicked out.
But nothing was wrong with kicking them out.
You're looking at a situation where now Trump is saying, we'll front the money to get these things up and running, repair them, get them up to state of the art, and then you'll enjoy the profits.
Yeah.
Who can enjoy the profit? Venezuela?
No, the oil companies.
The oil companies.
The oil companies.
Yeah.
And how much he gets out of that?
Oh, you
think he's not getting his share?
He gets a taste. It's the most corrupt administration in world history.
Have you ever seen Donald doing something that he's not getting his pocket full?
No,
he's still in the pocket and rotten bowels.
Only time I've seen any record of him expending money for something that didn't put money back in his pocket, most of the time in ways that are unethical and illegal. The only thing I've seen him motivated to do was get on an airplane with 13-year-old girls, spend his money to go to Epstein Island, spend his money to invest in some type of teen pageant so he could ogle young girls and undress. He's a sick, evil man.
Yeah.
Everything you tell your child not to be, this bastard exemplifies it. And then you have his base are Christians.
Yeah.
It's his base.
Yeah. And yesterday.
It tells you how chattel slavery, the most inhumane, cruel system of dominance in world history, was allowed to be in place for 400 years under the auspices of the Christians.
Yeah.
It shows you who they really are.
Yeah. People like Trump, These people, man. And the thing about it, they have no intention of doing right. No intention at all.
No.
But you were saying,
unfortunately, man, this thing is really at a boiling point. And some of us might be taking it simple. Oh, well, Donald wants it, and we're going to be great. He's not satisfied with that. Now he's threatening Cuba. Oh, Cuba is ready to fall.
Yeah.
And he wants to go to Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go to Mexico.
Yeah.
And rightly speaking, Russia and China are saying basically, if he's allowed to do this here in thing, what is he going to do elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Now his next big target, Greenland. And you say, we want Greenland. We want.
Yeah.
No.
Which would immediately, like that, destroy NATO.
Yeah.
Because now you've got all the European allies who have a pact of self-defense.
Yes.
And working in unison to defend themselves would now say the United States is an aggressor nation. You attack Denmark, you attack France.
Mm-hmm.
You attack Denmark or Greenland.
Yeah.
You
You
attack
have
Germany.
you're hitting the rest of it.
You just attack Great Britain. And he's putting them in a pickle. And just to show you how ignorant this bastard is, anybody who has an 8th grade education in the 20th century world history knows the reason why the United States has troops in Germany to this day, and the reason why you have Germany outlaw the Nazi Party, outlaw anything that has to do with lauding Hitler, Goebbels, Goering, any of those assholes. You're not allowed to publicly, the First Amendment over there, I don't know what they would call their governmental right to freedom of speech, but they don't play when it comes to those Nazis. Well, here comes Trump.
Yeah.
Why do we have to pay all this money to keep them free?
Yeah.
Man, first of all, you don't pay all of it. You contribute. But don't you know the danger of what could happen if a resurgent Germany came back and decided that they want to be militaristic again? Whatever their political ideology, whatever their war proclivities would be in the near future, that is a danger to the world.
Yeah.
That's a martial people. That's who they are. Going back to the Hunts. And he doesn't know. He has no idea.
The thing about it, he like to holler, they did this to us, they did this, to get the people here, behind him and everything.
Dude, just as ignorant as he is.
Yeah.
Just as ignorant as he is.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together,
Yeah.
But you were saying, Patrick.
But before you go to Patrick, just keep this in mind.
Yeah.
That we're now starting to see data about the effects on education since the cuts began in the 80s under Reagan. And we're now starting to see a large percentage of Americans read at a 6th grade level. We're talking about nearly 50%. In some studies, they're talking about over 50% of Americans read at a 6th grade level. In other words, they can read a piece of paper that says, Board of Water and Light, I owe $60, and it's due by May 7th. Consumers Power, I owe $85, and it's due on May 11th. They can do that. They can go to work to say, wash your hands, put oil in this hole, turn this wrench this way, and tell me what you did at 5 o'clock. They can do that, rudimentary.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to critical thinking and reading skills and analysis, it's over their head.
Yeah.
So they turn on Fox News and they hear Jesse Waters and Sean and all these liars.
Yeah.
And they're inclined to want to believe it anyway.
Yeah.
And they can be told damn near anything,
Yeah.
man. Like, for example, they could be told that Trump's a successful businessman despite his myriad bankruptcies and long history of defrauding and walking away from his obligations. They see that man, that's a businessman.
That was really pissed me off, man. It's like, I hear some of the guys in the YB talking, well, he's a businessman,
And you know what business they run? The guys who say that? The business they run is getting up in the morning, going to a workplace and coming home.
Yeah.
That's what they know about running a business.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in a way he's a businessman. Maybe. Because whatever it is he's doing, he's making a good business of it, making a good profit out of it. It doesn't mean that it is clean. It doesn't mean it is legal. But whatever it is, that's his business.
Like Al Capone, Bugs Moran.
Call them.
Yeah, businessman. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you were saying, Patrick. You were saying.
Now, we got some more time here on this. We could spend on what's going down with Trump and these people. But my big concern about what's happening with Venezuela and the leader and whatnot, bringing him out, and the trumping up, and some people think, it is very ironic that Trump wants to take this man out of his country, bring him here to stand trial.
Yeah.
But the same Trump pardoned a convicted fellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had what, 45 years
Yes,
sentence?
At least 40. I know he had 47.
Who
And-
sold thousands of tons.
Yeah.
You hear me?
But notice what he's
Thousands
doing.
of
He is
tons.
accusing.
Convicted of selling
Okay.
and exporting thousands of tons. A ton is 2,000
Yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
Thousands of them.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of noses and arms filled up with illicit drugs, right?
yeah.
Okay.
He's convicted in a court of law, and Trump.
In this country.
Yeah.
And Trump pardons this guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exonerates his record.
Yeah.
But
and then he
notice-
uses that same justification
Yes.
to say he's going after Maduro in Venezuela and his dumb audience. We got to get the drugs up the street.
yeah.
Dummies.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, look,
see-
his minister
I
of
know
war.
Fox News didn't tell you about my man from Honduras, but maybe your neighbor, maybe your mama,
Somebody.
maybe you stumbled on a newspaper if they still make those somewhere and saw it. I mean, the dude, he just pardoned one of the biggest narco terrorists in world history.
Yeah.
And then he's using that same justification
For
to
going-
go there and act like
Just what he
an
was
invader.
accused of,
And
what
you're
he
fine
was
with that.
found guilty of. He's now tacking it onto another body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
And that's Donald.
Yeah. But
And
see,
everything he says when he gets going on people, notice it's always from him. It's Donald is the problem. He just projects onto other people.
But see, the thing is, man, as long as he's got maybe 20 mil in this country who believes in him, who sit by the TV and watch nothing but Fox, hey, he can go along with it, as long as he can do that.
Well, he has had erosion, even in his base. Because one thing you can't lie to Ellie Mae and Cletus about is their bank account. And when they go to Kroger and they come home spending more and they got fewer bags, they know that.
I like that
And
analogy.
you can lie all you want to.
No, I like the
but
analogy.
Because they get that electric bill to bear. Trump. Wait a minute now, damn it, you say it day one. And then they hear about these, the Epstein files. They're
Yeah.
concerned with that too because they were conditioned to.
Yes.
Not because they have some type of moral standing, not because they have some kind of intellectual capacity to understand what statutory rape is. Not any of that. It's because for years, Trump went around talking shit about what he was going to do about the Epstein files. All his little petty podcasters, the Joe Rogans and all these jokers, all of them talking about the Epstein file, we got to get to the bottom of the Epstein file.
Yeah.
Because they just knew. It was going to be
And
Bill
all of a
Clinton.
sudden there's
It was
another
going to be
2
Bill
million.
Clinton. It was going to be some Hollywood actor. It was going to be that. And we come to find out with the minuscule amount that's been released, less than 5% has been
Yeah.
released, and much of that has been redacted.
Yeah.
Trump's on the Epstein plane more than anybody.
Yeah.
Trump went to the Epstein Island more than anybody. Trump
But you
is
say he never
accused.
did.
Trump is credibly accused of rape by over 20 women. And here's one we haven't talked about yet. And again, the New York Times, Washington Post, they remind me, when you was in 5th grade and you had the real smart kid. He was just light years ahead of everybody else, but he was built like a beanpole, and everybody picked on him and mushed his face in the mud, and bumped him upside the head because he's too damn smart, made them look bad when the teachers told him to spell cat and they couldn't even get the C and the T right? So they resented this dude. Well, that's the New York Times now. That's the Washington Post. That's the major media, and I'll tell you why I say that. One of the things that came out in the Epstein files with a woman who was still alive and is standing 10 toes down on her story said, when I was 13 years old,
Yeah.
I was brokered to Epstein by my uncle. And the first person that they sold me to was Donald Trump. And I had sex with Donald Trump. I had sex
More
with
like
Donald Trump
he had
even
trouble.
when I was pregnant. What? Even when you was what? 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was knocked up at 13.
Yeah.
She goes on to say that her uncle takes her to a boat on Lake Michigan. She's from down south somewhere.
Okay.
Yep.
Takes her to a boat out on Lake Michigan with the man who's responsible for her pregnancy, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump watched as her uncle dispatched the baby. I don't know if he strangled it. I don't know if he cut the baby's throat. I don't know if he whatever he did, he killed the baby and threw the baby in Lake Michigan, and that has not been disputed.
Yep.
It's not been adjudicated, but she stands 10 toes down on that story. Now, there's 3 people involved in this whole entire narrative. Her uncle, Epstein, and Donald Trump. And Epstein wasn't on that boat. So we're looking at a man who's a party to murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
That ought to be headlines.
Yeah.
You know, we got a body of people in this country who swear they stand on morals and law and order.
Yeah.
Where you ought to be having your head on fire.
Yeah.
Behind that report,
Yeah.
you don't hear a word about it.
No.
You don't hear a word about it.
No.
It's as if, well, that's not polite to talk about. We should wait until such time as we have more evidence.
Well, see, the thing.
What, you want the baby to come up out the water and say, "Here I am"?
the
You know, that would be nice.
Yeah, but
if that could happen.
And then they say that's fake news. That's not a baby.
Oh,
that's
that's
a
AI.
porpoise.
That's
a
AI.
porpoise. It's not a baby.
But see, man, we have to go right back and think about what the man was said to these Christian people, you know, back before he was elected. Vote for me this time, you won't have to worry about it
No,
again.
about voting again.
Yeah.
And that's
You
what
know?
he's trying to do. But I got a question for you guys. Maduro and his wife and son were brought here. They have
His son not brought here.
The son didn't come?
No,
Well,
it's just the wife.
Okay, well, I guess
Maduro.
it was misstated.
Mm-hmm.
But the husband and wife, at least 2.
Yeah.
He brought them here, he's going to try them, blah, blah, blah. Do you think he has something to stand on so that these people will be tried? I mean, they'll do anything. But is there a chance that they could just walk free?
No.
How no? Why not?
No.
Why not?
If they did, it would break everything that he's trying to do. He wants to run this country, man.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're talking about a court of law, and I get what your point is. Is there going to be enough evidence for a prosecutor to convince a jury that this man is guilty of these crimes? And I say, yeah, Maduro was a criminal, man.
Okay, he was a criminal.
He was a criminal. He was a dictator. He did things
Good.
against international law. However, here's what a lot of people are picking up on. You've heard on TV a lot of Venezuelans say, "Yeah, I'm glad we're getting rid of him." Well, ask the Negro Venezuelans what they think about Maduro. Ask the Indian Venezuelans what they think about Maduro. Ask the regular folk who drive cabs, who have fruit stands, who go out and fish and hunt for a living. They love him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same pattern that we see with the Cubans. The same ones who were in the oligarch class, who were Batista's people, who were the wealthy, who were the white, whose ancestors were the enslavers.
Yep.
They're the ones who are now in Miami voting for Republicans election after
Yep.
until this last election.
Yep.
Till this last election. Now we got a white Democratic mayor, female. How that happened? They up to here with Trump because now Trump's betraying them. But let's not get sidetracked. The same colonial pattern that you see played out in Cuba is what is playing out in Venezuela. So when they come to you and they say the people of Venezuela are glad that Maduro is arrested out of there, no, some of them
Some of
are.
them.
Not all of
all.
them. And then the same thing goes on with Cuba, which, by the way, you got little Marco Rubio, he of the cocaine dealing family. That's another story that just came out recently. We can talk about
Okay.
that another time. We see him up here crowing about, yeah, we got to take care of Cuba too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, man. I thought you guys ran on not having these foreign entanglements and all these wars and invasions.
Yeah.
Now, you done bombed everybody but Canada and talking shit to them
Yeah.
about doing that.
Oh,
And the thing is that when Biden was in, Trump and everybody around him was talking. Oh, we don't need to be going to wars and then look at him.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's setting up the pieces on the board that if things continue at the logical extension of where they are now, we're looking at World War III.
yes, and
Because you got NATO looking at us as a threat. You've got the BRIC nations already knowing that we're a threat. You got China and Russia sending warships to the area. you've got at least one report saying that Russia has submarines escorting some of these ghost tankers that they're using to get oil around the world. And then you extrapolate that to what's going on in Ukraine. Russia's in a pickle economically and in war. And you backing them into a corner where they say, well, hell, we ain't got nothing else to lose.
No.
And China, who's quietly built a military that might be the equal to the U.S. That's another reason why Trump came out the other day and said we need to add $1.5 trillion to the Pentagon. Hey, look, man, you can't write that check, man. You can't do that anymore. It used to be a time when the Federal Reserve could print money, and it would hurt the regular people with inflation.
Yeah.
But they just print money, go out and buy whatever they wanted to. Now that you've seen these BRIC nations begin the process of avoiding the U.S. currency and the SWIFT system, you just can't go out there and print money. So China is building up their economy, building up their war capability, building up their educational system, and they're going around the world using a colonial model that says to the people of the country, look, we need that oil, player. We got to have it. But what we're not going to do is just take it from you and leave you with nothing but pollution and broken dreams on the ground. We're going to build you schools. We're going to build you bridges, highways. We're going to invest in your economy so that you can grow your own food. Why do you think so many Central African nations are standing up and saying, you know what, West, get on out of here, man. France, go home. Because they know they got back now. And it's not being bad, they're not walking around striding with their chest out. They just know.
Yeah, and then the other thing about China, man, they got more people, man. They got more people.
Yeah, they got a lot of them.
And so the size of their armies, hey man.
Well, they got a lot of bodies to throw around, but that's not even the main concern now. Yeah, you need a lot of troops. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But man, you're starting to see the rise of the automated warrior. Yes. Right now, there was a report in the New York Times last week where Ukraine is using drones with AI. So check this out. Drones. Typically, up until maybe September this year, early October, you send a drone after a guy, and they would see that he went in that barn over there, and they're going to go there and get him, and the Russians could jam it with communications that would prevent the drone from getting close enough to strike that building or strike that target because the interference from the people who were commanding the drone was such that they couldn't finish the mission. Well, now they put AI on those drones, and they say to the drone, that's the target, man, figure it out. And they send them over there, and you can jam it like jelly. It doesn't matter because they're not communicating with anybody else. They're acting independently. And they're starting to wreak havoc on the Russians, man. And by all objective measures, Russians are probably losing that war. Well, you saddle them with a huge embarrassing loss in Ukraine and the economic impact that's going to have, and then you start messing with Venezuela and Cuba, which are their outposts. Right. But they do it in a different way. Same as China, they do it in a way that's more cooperative. Man, all of a sudden, you ain't got nothing to lose. And Trump's walking right into it.
Okay. We got it.
Anyhow, before you shut out this section about whether or not with Maduro.
Yeah, man.
I am looking at some of the things, and we're not got time for that now, but some of the things Trump has been saying, I believe they are going to be used against him in court for Maduro. He chat too much.
Against Trump? They're going to use these things?
His own words going to come back in court to
it's
support Maduro.
It's a defense for Maduro.
Yes.
Probably.
All right. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki, and we catch you down the next block for more Street Talk. Peace.
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.